Hey guys, this is Jasur from Shanghai Silk Road. In this video I want to talk about living in China after you open a company here. Obviously, most of our clients, they want to be relocated from their country to Shanghai or different cities that we register their company in. In this particular case, I want to especially give you some settlement information about Shanghai. So a lot of clients have been asking me, and this video is long overdue. So let me start one by one, talking about some important questions and aspects of life here they've been asking. So first of all, majority of the clients, they come to Shanghai with their families. So the first concern is education, kids' education, obviously. So let's start with nurseries. Like in any other country, Shanghai has private and public nurseries. And with the consideration here is obviously the prices and the conditions, requirements, if you can send your kids to public nurseries. So let's start with the private ones, because private ones, they're quite flexible. Why do I say that? Is because in China there's a huge, the language barrier. So that's why if you want to send your kids to private ones, you have this flexibility. You can choose English medium nurseries, or you can choose Chinese medium nurseries. So you have the choice yourself as a parent. Where in public nurseries or public schools or kindergartens, the main language here is Chinese. So this is the requirement. Now the age limit for both public and private nurseries, it is 2 years old. Okay, younger than 2 years old, it's a little bit harder to find a nursery for your kid. You can still, if it's a private nursery, you can still talk to the owners, talk to the teachers there, or the headmaster. Of course, if they agree, you can negotiate. They can take your kid. But public nurseries, strictly, they do not take kids younger than 2 years old. And provided that the kid speaks Chinese, okay, if you want to send your kid to a public nursery. Now, regarding the fees, obviously, private nurseries, costly like everywhere. In China, especially in Shanghai, prices start from at least 2,000–3,000 yuan, RMB a month. Okay, that is only if you send your kids 5 days a week, and starting from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 p.m., let's say. But of course, like I said, when you send your kids to private nurseries, you can talk to them. And price is normally based on the hours, okay, and the days your children attend the nursery. Again, when you send your kids to public nurseries, the prices are cheaper, much cheaper. For example, 2,000 RMB a month, or 1,000 RMB a month, or something like that, in that range. Now, next thing is kindergarten. Kindergarten is more or less the same, the situation, like I explained nurseries. Kindergartens start from the age of 3 in China. Okay. Again, public kindergartens, they have strict law, strict rule that your kid, should be able to speak Chinese, and he or she needs to be 3 years old at least, okay, to be able to attend public kindergarten. And one thing to note here is both public nurseries and kindergartens, they do not automatically enroll. Okay, it's not like you walk in and enroll your kid. In China, because of the huge population, you have to enroll your kids as early as possible. Normally, the enrollment starts at least 6 months prior the academic term. Okay, for example, if the nursery starts in September, you have to start enrolling your kid 6 months before that. Okay, and normally kindergartens and nurseries, both public ones, they enroll the kids, in that neighborhood only. Okay, but of course, when you're a foreigner, if you somehow manage to enroll your kid into a nursery or public nursery or kindergarten, they do exceptions. Okay, they, even if you live very far away from this nursery or kindergarten, if the education department of that district, for example, we live in Songjiang, if the education department of Songjiang agrees, they then can assign a kindergarten or nursery, might be a little bit far away from your home. Okay, and that school, that nursery or kindergarten, they may make an exception, and they enroll your kid. Okay, so meaning that foreigners' kids are exempted. Okay, from being enrolled into nursery, public nursery, kindergarten, even if they do not live within that vicinity. Okay, of that school. So. Next thing I want to talk about is, another thing before I move on to the next topic is when you pay for nursery or kindergarten, both public and private, normally that fee covers the meals as well, normally. Okay, but of course, if it's private, you have to talk and get the full information. But in public nurseries and kindergartens, normally they give meals, okay, at least one meal or 2 meals. Okay, and all right, let's move on to the next topic. Next one is primary, middle, and high schools. Just like nursery and kindergarten, they are divided into 2 parts, 2 categories, public and private. Just like in any country, public schools are cheap, okay, very, very cheap actually. In China, public schools start from 2,000 RMB a year, sometimes 1,000 RMB a year. That is, for 2 terms. And private schools in China, especially in Shanghai or in any other tier 1 city, the large cities in China, the prices start from at least 35,000 RMB a year. Okay, that is very expensive. And there are schools which charge 300,000 RMB a year. Okay, so I'm talking about primary, middle, and high schools, all of them. But one thing to note, again, about school system in China is everybody knows in China that public schools' education system and quality is much better than private ones. Okay, that is because government is itself, it is concerned about the education quality, and they tend to pay more attention, okay, the government attention to the public schools. So it's not like in the other Western countries. For example, we all know that in US public schools tend to be bad in quality and private ones good in quality. In China, it's the vice versa. Okay, we lived in Wuhan, for example, before we moved to Shanghai, and in Wuhan there were a couple of schools, public schools, were very, very famous in the entire country. For example, a public school belonging to Huazhong University in Science and Technology, one of the top schools in the country. Or there are, if you look at the ranking, actually, you get the idea. Ranking of public, ranking of middle, public, and high schools. Most of the top schools in China are public. I'm not saying that private schools are bad. It's just, this is how it works here. The whole government pays more attention, puts more emphasis on public school system. So that's why there's a long queue, to enroll your kids in public schools. Just like in nursery and kindergarten, you have to, enroll your kid at least 6-7 months prior. Or sometimes, if the school is very, very famous and very good, public school, you have to enroll your kid at least a year, okay, before they start their education. The costs I mentioned, private ones start at least from 35,000 RMB a year, and public ones start from 1,000 a year. And the costs include, in public at least, it includes one meal, and it also includes school uniform. And school uniforms are not mandatory to wear, but the fee you pay, that is 1,000, 2,000 a year for public school, it includes the school uniform. You don't have to pay separate. That's it. And okay, when you enroll your kids into a public school, from our experience, you have to go to the bank and open a bank card on your kid's name, and just put the tuition fee in that card, and then link your card into your Alipay, and through Alipay you pay the tuition fee. But for private schools, of course, you have the flexibility. You can just go there and pay cash, or pay with your credit card or debit card, etc. And also, of course, private schools, they're flexible. Again, you can enroll your kid anytime. At least this is what I know. On their website, for example, you can check, and they specifically mention that you can just walk in and enroll your kid. That is because I think they're not very, occupied, or they're not very, full, and plus, of course, the fee. Not everyone can afford private schools here, even in Shanghai. And next thing I want to talk about is homeschooling. A lot of foreigners that I know who are not satisfied with the education system here, or who are not able to enroll their kids in either public or private school, they choose homeschooling. Okay, it's quite possible in China, and the resources are limitless, literally. You can hire teachers, private teachers here, for much, much less than what you would pay in your home country, because there are so many foreign teachers available in China. There are so many, local teachers available in China. So this is the reason they choose homeschooling, and you might want to consider that as well. And next thing I want to talk about is rent costs in Songjiang and downtown. That all that we operate our company from Songjiang. So Songjiang is a district of Shanghai, and the rent prices are much cheaper than the downtown. For example, to give you an idea, our flat is 105 square meters, and it's 2-bedroom apartment on the first floor in a very well community, meaning that this neighborhood is surrounded by walls, by borders, and we've got a very secure area, and there are gardens available. There are a very green community, so to speak. And for this flat we pay 5,000 RMB only, okay, a month. The same environment, the same apartment in downtown Shanghai will cost you around at least 15,000 RMB. Okay, and that is the new apartment. Okay, before us, nobody lived in this apartment. All right, and it is fully furnished. Included, the fee we pay includes internet access as well, like unlimited internet, unlimited data. So this is about the rent. If you, of course, in Songjiang, if you want to pay less, you can find the same size apartment, 2-bedroom apartment, can be found for 3,000 RMB a month as well. But that apartment will probably be a little bit far from the metro or some shopping centers. Our apartment is very close to the metro and very close to shopping centers. Again, in downtown Shanghai, the prices probably start from 10,000 RMB or 7,000 RMB, something like that. Depending on the neighborhood, district, and depending on the the condition of the apartment. Some of the apartments are not fully furnished, and they're not located in a nice neighborhood. So you have to choose. You have this flexibility. Next thing I want to talk about is buying a house in Shanghai. Like in other cities of China, you can purchase an apartment, but in Shanghai the prices are very, very high. I don't really know specific numbers, but I can give you an approximate costs. Like 2-bedroom apartment, let's say 1-bedroom apartment in downtown Shanghai is going to cost you around $2 million. It's approximate price, depending, of course, the location and the amenities, etc., etc. Same apartment in Songjiang will probably cost you around $500,000. Okay, 1-bedroom apartment. Now, the one element you have to note about buying property in China, not only in Shanghai, is the law says that, as far as I know, if foreigner buys a house or flat in China, they cannot rent it out. Okay, if the apartment is on your name, you are only allowed to purchase apartment here only if you live in that apartment yourself. You cannot rent it. Okay, the law forbids foreigners. But again, I advise you guys check the recent laws. But this is what I know. And last thing I want to talk about today is driving in China and in Shanghai as well. So you can, if you have a driver's license from your country, you can easily convert that into a Chinese driver's license. All you have to do is just bring that driver's license to China and make an appointment at the the police station where they have this theory test. And of course, you have to prepare some more documents as well. You can easily Google it. It's available everywhere. So you get that pack of documents and make an appointment at the police station and take the test. Okay, theory test. That theory test is available in different languages, and most importantly, it can be taken in English as well. There are, if I'm not mistaken, 100 questions. And the pass rate is, I think you have to get at least 95% right, if I'm not mistaken. So once you take that test, once you pass that, at the same time, you will get the driver's license done. Okay, they will hand it to you. Okay, on spot. And after that, you can buy a car and register a number plate and start driving. In Shanghai, there's one thing to note is if you want to buy a car that can be driven everywhere in Shanghai, the number plate is going to cost you around 100,000 RMB, very expensive. With that number plate, you can drive everywhere. But if you want to just register your number plate in Songjiang, it's not as expensive as that. You just pay a couple thousand, I think maximum 6,000 RMB. And you just easily register your number plate and you can drive in Songjiang. But with that number plate, you cannot go to downtown Shanghai. You will be fined. Okay, you will pay some fine for that. It's not allowed. So that's it for now, guys. If you have any related questions, feel free to reach out, leave in the comment section below. The best way, again, to contact us is through email. And yeah, we're happy to help. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next videos. Thank you.